I'm talking about spoiler-free, girl. There's spoilers everywhere in this. He's an orphan with his brothers. His mom and dad are dead. Like, there's a lot of trauma. But I can't. I'm sorry. I'm just not serious. I have to stop talking about this. Never mind. Recently, I've been reading a lot of classics, manga, and just fiction books. So that's been my vibe right now, and I've been having a great time. I'm gonna start with a play that I read that kind of freaked me out a little bit. It's called Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. It's by Edward Albee. It is amazing, but it's also very confusing. It's, well, I was confused at first, but it's really, really good, and it's very interesting. It's definitely a book that I think has really good reread value, and you'd notice different things each time, especially after the end when you get to the big reveal. Yeah, it's really well written. It made me want to write plays for fun and like get into playwriting, because I just think the art of like writing scripts and writing in that style it's an art, and it's very complicated to do it well. It takes a lot of thought and like picturing how the scenes will look. So yeah, I think Edward was really dope in doing this. It's an absurdist play, so it's a commentary on how life is. It's kind of like if you're looking into like existentialism and like the point of existence. Edward was of the belief, or in this book at least, he's kind of writing from the perspective of like life is just strange and a series of like meaningless events. So like this is a book that kind of represents that, because a lot of things are happening and then you're thinking, oh, what does this mean, what does this mean, and then you get to the end and you're like, nothing. Like that was all kind of like just wild and random and chaotic for no reason. But it's really, really cool to see it all come together. And then also Elizabeth Taylor was part of the making of the movie for this play. Does that make sense? Like there was a live action movie for this play and Elizabeth Taylor was in it. Hopefully things are coming together. So I want to watch that. But yeah, this was really cool, and it was like part of my foray into reading classics, because I was in my Gilmore Girls vibes and I was like, I want to be like Rory. I want to be an academic weapon. So I was trying to read classics, and yeah, this is really, really cool. I would definitely recommend this. It's wild. I would give this book, especially now, I don't know what I gave it on Goodreads, but right now I would say like 4.5. I wouldn't give it a 5 because it really did stress me out, but it was pretty good. I have positive memories overall about this. So yeah, 4.5 out of 5. Next is The Outsiders. I feel like this is just a gem of a book. Like, okay, even though now that I'm literally picking this book up, I cannot explain what happened. I don't remember why Ponyboy ran away. I don't remember. I really like this book, and I remember it made me feel like I was gonna cry while I was reading it at work, because like during lulls in my work day I read, and yeah, I was reading this and I kept thinking, I'm gonna cry, and by the end I really feel like I was gonna cry. But it's a really good book. I would give it 5 stars. I think 4.755 area, but I literally can't describe it. How embarrassing. He runs away for some reason with one of his friends. I remember why. Oh my god. Okay, this is a classic, so I'm gonna spoil some stuff, okay? If you don't like spoilers, I'm sorry. But if you really don't want to hear spoilers, skip ahead. I think he kills someone, or his friend kills someone. Something like that happens. And because they were getting beat up, so they gotta stab somebody. Yeah, his friend stabbed someone who was beating up Ponyboy. And his friend's name was Johnny, I think. And so anyway, so they gotta run away because they gonna go to jail. And they're poor, and they killed a rich kid. They gonna go to jail. So they're like, nah, I can't go to jail. Like, I gotta go. But honestly, they could have like explained this. But they're little kids. I think they're like 14. So they were just thinking like, we're gonna go to jail. We can't go to jail. So they ran away. I think their friend Dally helps them, and yeah, so they're going to hiding, but then there's some sort of fire in where they were hiding, and there's kids stuck in it, and they ended up going to the hospital and getting arrested for their crime of killing someone. And then Johnny got really burnt up during that time, like when he was in the fire, and he basically died from his wounds. But I don't think Ponyboy went to jail, and everything worked out for him, kind of, except he now has so much more trauma than he already had. Like, he's an orphan with his brothers, his mom and dad are dead. Like, there's a lot of trauma, but I don't know how you describe sad things happily. But yeah, there's a lot of things going on in this book, but I really like it. I think it's beautiful. Like, and I think this woman wrote this book when she was very young as well. So, like, honestly, the complexities within this story, it's a 5-star. Yeah, it's a 5-star. Read this book if you haven't. I mean, I feel like everyone has to read it in middle school, but if you haven't read it, please read it. I think it's awesome. This book was so emotionally traumatizing. Wow. Okay. And listen, I actually have an issue with people complaining about like trauma or heaviness when you're comparing it to like someone who has gone through more, in a sense. Like, I don't know how to describe this in a good way, but basically what Ellie went through and all the other people who were actually in these concentration camps was more than my little discomfort when I'm reading this book and I'm like, wow, this is heavy. Okay. So when I'm like, wow, I had like, it was kind of heavy, like, yeah, duh. He was literally surrounded by people who were getting tortured and murdered. He was getting treated like he wasn't a freaking human being. And I'm gonna complain because I'm like, wow, this is so dark. Like, I just like, that's like, touch grass, babe. But at the same time, I mean, it is very, very dark. And it's such a small book. He packs a punch in a small book. But there's a lot going on, and it's very dark. It's very heavy. And I think everyone should be aware of that beforehand, especially if you are not in the mindset to be able to handle extreme darkness and death and gruesomeness. Like, it is horrible what they've gone through, but it's also a very beautiful book, and it's a classic for a reason. I feel like this is the sort of book where I was like, wow, this is a classic for a reason. Like, this is so, so, so good, so important to read. And yeah, literally, as the New York Times said it in the front, a slim volume of terrifying power. Like, it's amazing, but it's so heavy. And yeah, I don't know what else to say besides that. Yeah, so basically, if you don't know anything about this book, to explain in shorthand, Elie Wiesel describes like his life a little bit beforehand, when he was just living his regular life, and then like the slow but then rapid change into him and his town being occupied by the Nazis, and then they were sent off to concentration camps, and he's describing the process of how they sorted people, how they systemically like shut down this town and like lock these people away in their own town. It's so wild. And then he describes how he was living in these concentration camps, and he kept getting moved, and basically the Nazis were trying to move away from like when they thought that someone was coming in to take out the people that they've captured. Basically they had to keep getting moved. At one point they're walking through like, it's like snowing and it's horrible weather, and they're just walking. They can't even eat or stop. They have to keep walking because they're literally like aiding in their own running away from safety, because these soldiers are gonna like shoot them if they don't agree. So they're just like marching off to God knows where, and like they have to keep walking, and people are like collapsing and dying because they haven't eaten. They are in such poor conditions. They're unwell. They've been malnourished and living in these they've been suffering. Okay, they have all been suffering, and like they just had to keep helping. Ew, it's just gross, because like basically what really gets me about this particular situation I'm talking about is like the Nazi soldiers get the word that like there are people coming in, Allied forces who are coming in to try to like take out the people who are living in the concentration camp, trying to like check if there are people living there and like being captured and being prisoners there to like get them out, you know? So they're like, okay, you guys have to hide because we don't want them to see you guys and then take you guys from us. So then they all have to hide, because if they don't, they get shot. And then at one point, it's the kind of hiding where they literally just have to run away and leave. So they're forced to like help the Nazis by like walking out and like running away from these people who would help them and like actually save these prisoners. It's crazy to me. Because it's just so disgusting. Like, this is what they had to go through. And like, yeah, that scene is dark. Like, that was one of the last scenes of him being still being a prisoner. And like, it just makes you want to like literally get physically ill, because it's so dark. What they're just like walking and dying around each other, and if they don't agree and cooperate properly, like they get shot. It's oh my gosh. So it's gruesome, it's dark, and if you're not into that sort of stuff, or you just aren't prepared for that, or you don't think you can handle it well, definitely consider that before picking this book up. But this is a 5-star. It's amazing, but it's very, very dark. I read this cutie. Okay, I have a sticker on here because I read this on Libby, I think. Yeah, I read it on Libby through audiobook. This book is gorgeous. I'm ripping off the sticker as we speak. I think I gave it a 4-star. I cannot bring myself to give it a 5-star. I think I'd give it a 4, 3.75. Like, I liked it, but I don't know. I just think about it and I'm like, wow, I like that book. But then I also am like, I've liked books more than this book. But it's a cute romance book, and it has depth to it. You're dealing with a woman who is trying to heal and move on from her emotionally abusive ex-boyfriend or ex-husband. I don't remember. But anyway, that man was trash, disgusting. And yeah, she's trying to move on. She found this fine, lovely man, and they're trying to build a life together. But it's kind of back and forth, because she also is healing from a terrible situation, a very toxic situation. This guy has his own issues too, because like he's in a career he don't really like that much, like, and he's trying to figure out himself a little bit. She is having family pressure to be like in her surgeon. I think her family wants her to be a surgeon or something, and she wants to be like a regular doctor. I don't remember, but no, I think she wants to be like an ER doctor. Yeah, I really don't remember the details, but it's so weird, because I actually read multiple stories or like watched TV about this situation as well, where it's like the person is a doctor, but it's not good enough for their parents, because the parents want them to be like a surgeon, or they want them to be like a specific specialty within medicine that the person does not actually like. So that's what she's going through. Like, she's a doctor, but I think her family wants her to be a surgeon, but she doesn't want to be a surgeon, or like she doesn't want to be that specific type of surgeon, something like that. But anyway, I think it all works out in the end. They end up together. There's a goat in it. I don't remember if it was a pet goat or what, but it's just all very fun. Abby Jimenez writes very good books, I would say, based off of this one book that I've read from her. And I actually would read more of Abby's books, because I just think Abby has the special sauce, you know? Yeah. I've ripped off the sticker, but I've also ripped off some of the cover. How sad. Anyway, 3.754. I mean, I would say maybe 3.75 to 4.25. I feel like anything in the 3s is too low though. Like, I don't know. With romance books, it's like a 5 has to be like, my heart dropped out of my body and I like transcended into a different plane. I don't know. It has to be so good. But this was really good though. It was solid. I feel like 4 is good. I don't know. It was good. I liked it. Another series that I've been reading recently, you guys. Girl. So it's definitely a middle grade series. It's The Sisters Grimm. This is my favorite book series, I think. Like, I am 22 years old. I read this book series with joy in my heart, peace in my veins. I was happy. I was listening to it on audiobook through Libby, and I read all 9 books. I was having the time of my life. I really, truly was. No one could stop me. I was just so happy. And I would read those books again. I'm about to buy every single book. Yeah, I am. 5 out of 5 for the whole series. Yeah, I loved those books. I just loved it. Basically, these girls are the descendants of the Brothers Grimm, who wrote the fairy tales like Snow White, Rapunzel, the Little Pigs, and the Big Bad Wolf, like those kind of stories. All these fairy tales. So they live in a fairy tale town. Oh, my battery. Oh my gosh. So basically these girls are part of this fairy tale town, and they are orphans at the start of the book because their parents have gone missing. They don't know where their parents are. They're wards of the state. They've been going through foster house to foster house, and then all of a sudden there's a woman who's claiming to be their grandma, and they are sent to her. And also the person who's in charge of them from the state hates children. She's so mean to them. She sent them to so many abusive, weird, just not suitable homes. It's despicable, but anyway. So then they find this woman, her name is Granny Relda, and then she takes them in, and they soon realize, like, oh, she actually is our grandma. But at first they're suspicious because they're like, we don't have any relatives. Our dad said our grandma is dead, so what are you talking about? But no, she was alive and well. But they live in the fairy tale town now with their grandma, and immediately they have like an issue, I think, with a giant in the first book, and they start realizing like everything about like fairy tales and magic is real, and our grandma is like a fairy tale detective, and she helps. That's like part of what our family does. Like, we're supposed to be helping like sleuth out magical mysteries and keep the balance between magical creatures who are called ever afters in this book and then like just regular human beings. So yeah, it's very interesting. And then like the whole book kind of follows the drama between ever afters and humans, and like the conflict and tension between ever afters in this town, because oh my gosh, I think it's called Fairy Tale Landing, but the town that they are in, which I think is called Fairy Tale Landing, the ever afters who are in there are stuck there, and they have a lot of anger towards the Grimm family because the Grimm family is why they're stuck there, because half of these creatures hate human beings and they think that they're better than them, and they think they can just like subjugate them and be mean to them and sometimes eat them. So yeah, they're just like, it's better if you guys just stay here. But there's a lot of built up resentment because of that, and that culminates by the end of the series in this whole huge war about this, because these people want to get out so bad. They want to live regular lives, and it just goes crazy because also, even though it's a middle grade book, people are dying, people are getting cursed, a lot of bad things happen. Like at one point the uncle falls in love with this girl, and then she gets murked, and he's just going through grief. He's losing his mind. He's just so sad because the love of his life is dead, and like that just happens, and it's so sad. I love it. I love it. I love this book. I love this series. I can't speak highly enough about it, and I feel like not enough people know about it. So yeah, I love that series. I have tried to keep that kind of vague. Well, I mean, I could talk about that series forever, honestly. Like, I just am very passionate about it. I love that series, but I don't feel like I need to break it down play by play because there are 9 books and I don't want this video to be 7 hours long. But like, yeah, I just think it's really, really good. And there are like highs and lows with the books because there are 9 books. I would not say every single book was a 5-star, but overall the through line of the story and like overall how the story ends up going and where everything wraps up, I'm very, very happy with how it was written, and it's just really one of my favorite series. So yeah, a series that really just shook me up and shocked me that I read recently is called Lost Lad London. I love this series. Lost Lad London is incredible. It's a 3-volume series, so 3 books, and then it's wrapped up, which breaks my heart. I wish it kind of went on longer. I love the world that it's built in, and I think the author did amazing. I just think this series reads so vividly. Yes, it's a manga, so there's literally pictures, so it is just inherently more vivid than a book with simply words. But I've read different mangas now, and it's a special book. Like, Lost at London is a very special series, and I think that it has so much potential to be built into a TV show or a mini series or like a limited series, basically. Yeah, I think it could just do so well in like TV form. Yeah, I hope that the author gets a deal for that because that story is incredible. It's a somewhat of a whodunit mystery. There's a kid who is in college who gets framed for murdering the mayor, and you go on this journey to figure out who actually killed the mayor, what is going on, how is this kid connected to the mayor, and the kid gets he gets partnered up with, well, because the murder is getting investigated by the police, there's one detective who actually ends up helping the adult who gets framed. I forgot these people's names, typical me, but he starts partnering up with this suspect to kind of figure out who actually did it, because when he went to go question this child who is an adult, but he went to go question the guy who's getting framed, the detective was like, oh my gosh, like, I know he's telling the truth, because he was just being very honest, and I don't know, he just trusted his gut. So he's like, I'm gonna figure it out with you, and they kind of go on this, they're trying to figure that out, who actually did it. The more clues they come up with, it's like, okay, you're related to the mayor, so that doesn't look good for you. The murder weapon was found at the guy's house, and it's just becoming more and more strange. And as it would turn out, by the end of the series, the person who's framing him was actually responsible for the guy's roommate's murder, because the roommate got killed too, because I don't remember how, but for some reason the roommate was able to like give this guy information on the guy who was framing this is not gonna work. I don't remember anyone's name. Okay, basically here's the TLDR. Guy A framed detective who is helping guy A. Guy B, the framer, and roommate who gets murked. So, okay, guy A is minding his business, living his life. Guy B finds out that guy A is related to guy B's dad, who is the mayor. So the mayor's kid, guy B, is like, yo, I'm gonna kill this kid because it's his fault that my dad has a kid. It's so stupid. It's the worst reasoning ever. But he's just basically frustrated about that, and he thinks his life is gonna be better if this kid is in jail, and also that his dad is dead. So again, horrible reasoning. But yeah, so he murks his dad, and then he tries to ruin this kid's life by framing him for murdering the mayor. And to do this, he also has to talk to the roommate so he can get guy A's like schedule and just figure out a way to make this make sense to the police. So once he's done using the roommate, he kills the roommate, and he was going to try to frame guy A for killing his roommate as well. Okay. But yeah, throughout the series, well, books 1 and 2, you kind of get like more and more glimpses of like who could possibly be the actual murderer, but then it all kind of comes to light and gets confirmed in the last volume, because the author just opens everything up and you're like, wow. Because also, because of the art style, things are drawn increasing clarity. So at first it's like more shadowy, and then you start seeing people's eyes or like hands, and then you see the whole body and you're like, oh, this is the guy who did this. And maybe if you're better at murder mysteries, you would have guessed it right away, but I did not guess it. Okay, so to me it was a good reveal. But yeah, it's a really good series in my opinion. I loved it. I would give it a 5-star. Well, now that I'm talking about it, I feel like 4.5, 5, but I really liked it. I thought it was just like, it was such a fun read, especially the first time around. Like, I was so happy to read it, and I think I'm gonna buy that series because it just made me so happy. First book, I was like, oh, I'm not even done with this. It's a 5-star. Yeah, it's a 5-star. So yeah, I just liked it. Another manga series I started reading is Beastars, but I was so confused, you guys. I literally don't like animal books. I realized in that moment, I just can't read books about animals and take it seriously. Like, why am I reading about a wolf falling in love with like a sheep or something? Like, what? Who am I? I don't like it. I don't like it, okay? I just can't do it. Because I'm like, are we gonna watch the wolf and the sheep have intercourse? Are we supposed to take that seriously? Me? I can't take it seriously. Maybe it's like, I feel like it would be something I could tolerate as an anime, but to read it in like, I just don't know, but something about it is so comical to me. Like, I'm reading about a wolf talking about his feelings. I'm not usually that literal, but like when I'm reading that kind of story, I'm just like, he's a wolf. A wolf is not having an existential crisis in this manner. I don't know why that happened. Like, these animals can't eat meat. These carnivores can't eat meat. I don't get it. I guess maybe it's supposed to be a metaphor. Maybe I needed to think about it like that. But to me, it's just like, this is dumb. I can't read this. I just can't. And I feel bad because I'm like, you know what? It was supposed to be a metaphor. And if I let myself think about it, like, not literally, I'm sure it's super impactful. But I could not take, I kept sighing. I'm like, I'm reading about a dramatic moose or something. I think he was a moose. I don't know what he was. He had antlers, a reindeer. I don't know. I'm reading about a moose. I'm reading about a wolf. I'm reading about a sheep. I think a llama or an alpaca got murked. I'm like, I can't do it. I can't do it. Why am I reading this? I would rather read about Naruto and him turning into the nine-tailed fox, right? I don't know. I haven't watched Naruto since I was like 7, but I would rather read about that. I would rather read about Avatar Aang and the spirit world that he goes into than read about wolves. I just can't read about wolves he's arguing with the dog, I think. And then I think he's killing people. I don't get it. Who killed the alpaca? That's the only thing that's getting me. Someone killed that llama, or I don't know if he was an alpaca. Someone killed that thing. And I'm just like, who killed him though? Was it I think the reindeer is a demon. I'm so unserious. What's wrong with me? Let's talk about a series I really liked. I read Our Dreams at Dusk, which is a manga series that only has 4 volumes, so it's short. I really don't like when it's like 80. I can't read like an 80 plus volume series. I need to rest. You know, I think the longest series I read was the Sisters Grimm series, and that was 9. No. The longest series I've read was Pretty Little Liars, or maybe even the Click series. But I think those series got into like the teens in the books, like 16 books or something. Anyway, after book 10, no, actually after book 5, I'm like, when is this gonna be over? And you know, some things are just like filler. It just gets too long. Let's wrap it up. So anyway, point is, I like short series. But with Our Dreams at Dusk, it's 4 volumes. It's really good, and I think it goes up. It's very delicious to me. Starts off with book 1, obviously, and it's amazing. Yeah, I've actually read this book twice. I read this first online, and then I got it on my library. Perfect book. The whole series goes around, it centers around sexuality, coming of age, gender, romance, like existential crises, etc. I love it. Yeah, it's really cool. I think it's very insightful, very impactful, and beautifully written. And it really felt like it was making me think more and think differently than I usually do, which I appreciated. And each book is pretty short. It's a graphic novel. It's a manga. Actually, like, that's the correct term. It's a manga series that I just feel like I would definitely buy and love to reread. Like, it's very comforting and sweet, but also emotional. It made me want to cry at some points. It deals with heavy topics, and it can feel sad sometimes when you're reading certain points in each book, but I think at the end of the day, it's about found family and having life-affirming relationships and connections with people and growing into yourself and loving yourself as you are and being able to better love other human beings. So I just really appreciate this book and how it was written. So I will show you the covers of each book. This one is blue. This is the main character, and I cannot tell you his name. I don't remember anyone's name except someone's son. This is book 2. It is pink, basically, and blue, but pink. Oh my gosh, what if I'm just saying the colors right now and you don't agree with any of the colors I'm saying? Wouldn't that be so funny? I wouldn't find that funny, actually. I'd be embarrassed. Anyway, this, it's upside down. This book is Orange and Green, book 3. Yeah. Oh my gosh. This person and the main character guy's crush, they look the same to me. Like, both of those guys look the same to me. So sometimes I'd be looking at them and I'm like, which one is it? And I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes I'd be like, oh, is he talking to his crush? No, it's this guy. But actually, this guy might be his crush. But I'm pretty sure it's not. Okay? Anyway. It's so bad. Then, there's the girlies. They get married in this book. And, like here, it's like the main character and this guy. But I don't know if this guy is this guy or the main character's crush. I don't know. I can't tell. Anyway, so yeah, this series is really cute. I want to give this to my brother. Like, I want to buy it for myself and then buy it for my brother because I feel like he would like this series as well. And then, yeah, I just really liked it. I think it was cool. If you've read this series, please let me know because I'd love to chat about it. Like, I just think it's a cute little series. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I liked all these books, and I think each of the 4 books they just get better and better. The whole series is definitely a 5-star for me. I found it to be really, really comforting, very cozy, but also the type of cozy and comforting that's like your best friend who has a lot of positivity and warmth for you, but also will like tell you the truth and be honest and check you and be the person who challenges you to like grow. I feel like this is the type of vibe this book gives me, or these books give me. Yeah, I don't know if it made sense, but that's just what I get from it. I'm like, I feel like as much as it's like a warm hug, it's also the type of friend who will be like, girl, like, be better. And I appreciate that. So I feel like I just loved it. I thought it was really good. I really enjoyed making this video, and if you liked it, please let me know because I can do little updates. I can do more little updates over books that I read recently. Yeah. Enjoy your days, little chickens. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful day. Bye!